So I am working to get teachers involved in how we fight for a fair contract, and making sure that teachers know what's going on and that we're involved and we're really showing the district that we are a united front working to get a fair contract.
And can you talk a little bit about that contract, what you guys have been seeing that has been unfair and what you guys want changed? You talked a little bit before everything started about, the different things that we're passing and just what you've seen as change within the Bethel School District over the years.
Yeah, so, as the years have gone on, so this is my 4th year in Bethel, and it seems like every year, and when you talk to more experienced teachers, it's just kind of gotten harder every single year. Students have more needs with, their various educational needs, how they were affected by COVID, all that stuff. So it's really a different educational landscape than it was like 10 years ago. And, as we go for a fair contract, we've been fighting for it. With each bargaining session, there's been very slow movement. So we would propose something and the district would kind of be like, no, without really explaining why. And we're really optimistic now because with these mediation sessions that we've had, this is the second one, we are seeing that the district is more open to talking about why they would say no and then listening to why we are really fighting for these things. So, having balanced classes, good caseloads for teachers that aren't overwhelming. So there's lots of different things that we're fighting for to really just support staff, and then by supporting staff, we're supporting students the best we can.
Can you talk a little bit about those changes over the years? Being a teacher, seeing the class sizes increase. Can you talk a little bit about, those specific numbers? Obviously, what you guys are looking for when it comes to, again, money and being able to, spend for the classroom, because you guys are working overtime. Can you talk a little bit about that data and those numbers?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I would say in my classes what I've seen personally is I have more students with IEPs, so with those individualized education plans that, need in their IEP minutes, they need, EA support or frequent check-ins. And so one of my classes, I think it's 40% of the kids that have some kind of specialized education plan. And so really making sure that I can actually support these kids. So making sure that, I have the EA support, or I have the time and ability to adapt my lessons. So that's where that overtime comes in, where we are working for a long time to make sure that we're supporting our kids, and having, sorry, I get confused over my speech, but just making sure that we are adapting our lessons to meet these kids. Because, teaching math, I have students in my classes that struggle with adding 2-digit numbers, or even, they are rather dyslexic, and so they are writing the numbers backwards. And so making sure that I'm really supporting those students that need that support so that I can help catch them up, and that they, feel supported. Yeah.
At the end of the day, obviously you guys are the people that are teaching the students and, need that, again, that compensation for being able to do that. But at the end of the day, it comes down to these students. How are you seeing, again, you're talking about with the different individualized plans that they need, and if teachers can't put in that time or that effort, and aren't getting paid for it, just overall, how is this affecting the students? How are they going to see this, affect them at the end of the day, with these contracts? People see, oh, it's teachers trying to get better contracts, don't care about the students, but that's not the case. At the end of the day, it is the students. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, having classes that are balanced and proper support for students helps the students, when they're behind, if they are behind and they're struggling in their classes, if they're struggling, they're not engaged. And then if they're not engaged, they might be engaging in more disruptive behaviors, they might be talking to their friends, they might be goofing off. And if we're able to really support kids and get them interested in learning and, be able to really hype them up, and have the time to have lessons that really reach them. So maybe have some real world connections or something like that, where they are more interested and take more ownership in their learning. And, with how behind some kids are, we need as much as we possibly can to really get these kids interested. And, I talked to my coworkers about how it's not possible for us to teach and be okay teachers, because when we're okay teachers, that's, we're not as on behavior as we need to be. We aren't as planned as we need to be, and then we feel frantic in the classroom. And when a teacher feels frantic in the classroom, the kids feel it. So making sure that we have time to support our kids and have really good plans and all the things that they need to feel supported so that they're engaged. And then once we have that and we have those, pedagogy and various things that help support our students, then they have a better education as a result, and they see themselves as learners. We want all of our kids to see themselves as learners, and in order to do that, we need to be able to support them as best we can.